Hi, and welcome back to my 10-day series on 10 Days to Winning Ways. In Module 5, today we're going to talk about no excuses. People make up excuses all the time for not doing something. I've done it. I'm working on overcoming my excuses, but I just hate when people give me excuses. So let's get into this. What are you going to learn about today in this module? Some of our favorite excuses that we use all the time. People that have overcome great odds and overcome all the excuses that they could have used to debilitate their life, but they didn't. And what you can do to overcome your excuses. Excuses, we use them all the time, right? How many times have you made up an excuse? I have no money. I have no time. I have to ask my mom, my dad, my spouse, my lawyer, the alien down the street, because I can't think for myself. I have to ask somebody else. I was abused as a child. That's a great one we use. Just don't think this will work out for me. It may have worked for some people, but it's not going to work for me. I'm too depressed to do this. In other words, I've got some kind of a handicap and I just can't do this. I have no talent. All these are great excuses, but if you use excuses, you'll never accomplish things in your life. So you need to put away the excuses. Some of the greatest people in the world have had some of the greatest challenges in their lives. There are a few people who have no challenges in their life. In fact, I think the people that have the greatest challenges overcome them and they have the best lives. It all depends on what you do with your challenges that determine your destiny. You've heard the old saying, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Challenges either make you better or they make you bitter. So if you overcome the challenges, they make you better. If you wallow in your mess after a challenge, then it will make you bitter. It all depends on you. One of my favorite Michael Jackson songs is The Man in the Mirror. And this is very true. It's truly the man in the mirror that will make you or break you. It's all about you. Ask this question of yourself. This is one of my favorite excuses. We're in a bad economy right now. So you're thinking outside the box to find a way to be successful, or are you just complaining about Obama not providing you with a job? Nobody is going to make you successful but you, not even the President of the United States. Remember these people. So I'm going to go into a few people that have been very successful in their lives. I'm not going to give you their names, but they are actual stories of very successful people. Here's the excuse this guy could have used. I was abused as a child. This man was sexually abused by his grandfather when he was 4 years old. He just shut down after that. He wouldn't let anyone touch him. He didn't think anybody cared about him at that point. He was nothing but trouble when he was growing up. He got into a whole lot of trouble all the time. And by the age of 16, he was facing prison time. So he was going to go to prison when he was 16 years old. But his mother intervened. And what his mom did was she went to the court and she said, my son is facing prison time. He's very young. Could we do something else? So they set up a program where he was supposed to spend 6 weeks in one of these rehabilitation camps, one of these boot camps for teenagers. He ended up spending 8 months there. And at that point, another woman was in there and she completely changed his life. She just wouldn't stop loving him no matter what he did. She just loved him, and this completely changed his life. He's now one of the most loving people on earth, and he makes around $4 million a year. So he completely overcame the fact that he was sexually abused. I was born poor, and I grew up poor. This man I'm going to talk about grew up in a very poor home. This was the philosophy in his home when he grew up. We can't afford food. There'll never be enough money. All God wants to do is take my money. So when he'd go to church and the time came to do the tithe or whatever he was going to do, this was just God wanting my money. He didn't have the philosophy that if I tithe, I'll get the money back plus more. He just thought, all God wants to do is take my money. If you want more money, you have to work more hours. In other words, there's no such thing as a passive income. Bills equal pain. So every time Dad sat down to write out the bills, everybody ran because it was a really bad day that day. So when he grew up, he had the very same philosophy. He got married. Him and his wife lived in a very small trailer. He got a job, and he had a son. And the son was born with some kind of a problem, physical problem. He's about 10, 12 years old now, and he's overcome that. But when he was born, he actually had some kind of physical problem. This guy stood over his son's bed, and he actually thought about killing him. And then he thought, well, if the kid dies, that must be better because I can't afford to take care of him. This is when he changed his thought processes, stopped his excuses, and now he's one of the top earners in his profession. Here's another one. I lost everything in the downturn. We hear that all the time, right? I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost my 401k, I lost my job. I can't do anything because I lost everything. Well, this man lost everything in the housing market when it crashed in Florida. He was a great real estate broker, and he was making hundreds, thousands of dollars a year, but he lost everything in the crash. He was about $90,000 in debt with credit card debt and all kinds of debt. And what he actually did was he went into his cell phone and he gave the people that he owed money to a different ringtone so he wouldn't answer the phone because he didn't want to talk to him. But he decided to start a new business. He wasn't going to let this get him down, so he started a new business on no's. He specifically set out to get 20 no's a day. He did this for 6 months. Do you think that was easy, getting 20 no's or rejections every single day? But look what happened to him. In less than a year, he was the top earner in his company. He now again commands hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. He's probably a 7-figure earner. And he did it on no's. I have no money. That's one of the greatest excuses we use. I have no money. Let me tell you about a mother that I know very well. And she's a very great friend of mine. But she didn't have any money. This was after the downturn also. So she went to the store. She had like $4 on her credit card and $1 in her purse. And that's all they had. She went to buy bread and milk for her family. And then she didn't know what she was going to do. And she was determined she was not going to let this get her down. On the way home from the store, she heard an advertisement on the radio that was talking about earning money online. So she decided she was going to get into that program. So she started selling stuff on eBay in order to get some stuff sold so she could have the money. She commands upward of $10,000 a day, and she's one of the best online coaches in the business. She's very well thought of and very well sought after in the online marketing business. I'm disabled. I got something going on. I'm depressed. I can't do this. Well, let me talk about this guy. He's a quadriplegic because of a tractor accident. What happened was his wife called him, said, you need to come home right away. Your son is taking his first steps, and I know you want to see this, so you need to come home right away so you can see this. He was on his tractor, or getting ready to go on his tractor, and he said, okay, I just have these few things I want to do, and then I'm going to run home. But the tractor was telling him he shouldn't be doing this. In other words, there were a lot of alarms going off as the tractor was saying, I'm disabled, don't use me right now. But he decided to do it anyway. And the tractor rolled over on top of him and broke his neck, and he became a quadriplegic because of this tractor accident. He was actually depressed for quite a long time. But his dad helped him out of it, and with the help of his family, he decided to start a new business as a motivational speaker. Now he does over 700 speeches a year, and he travels all over the world and with no one. You would think a quadriplegic would want to take someone with them, right? But he doesn't. He doesn't take anyone with him. He gets help from people everywhere he goes. He asks people to help him out of the car. He asks people to help him up to his room. It takes him 2 or 3 hours to shower and dress. Now for us, we think that's a horrible amount of time. That's awful. But his mindset is it's his workout time. Other people work out, so this is his workout time. So he has a different mindset than we do about that. Here's a great one. The government's holding me back. That stupid Obama, he just won't provide me with a job. This man I know was in prison for 5 years in Poland when it was taken over by the USSR. Some people are probably too young to remember this. I wasn't alive when this happened, but I do know history. And what happened was Poland was occupied by Russia. And this was in the late 40s, early 50s when Poland was taken over. This man actually protested this takeover, and he was imprisoned for 5 years in Poland. When he got out of prison, what he did, he married someone that had ties with the West. She had family in France, and they were able to get an American car. Back in Poland, while they were taken over by Russia, you could not get an American car. In fact, you could hardly get a car at all. Imagine that. But he got an American car. And what he did was he started giving rides in this car. And he found out that people wanted to ride in the car. They were lining up around the block to ride in this car. So he got rich by people riding in this car. And after the communists left Poland, he became very wealthy because of this. What he actually did was he bought up all of the buildings. When the communists left, they left buildings vacant. He bought up all these buildings. He turned them into doctor's office and dentist's office and clothing stores and electronic stores and appliance stores. And he owns almost all the whole town where he lives. So what's your excuse? These are just a few examples of people overcoming horrible odds. So if they can do it, why can't you? Remember this. Remember the session I talked about overcoming objections? This is exactly the same thing. It's all about the stories you tell yourself. And if you tell yourself you can't do it, you won't do it. You need to tell yourself a different story. Tell yourself, I can do it. So if you want to achieve your purpose, you need to start telling yourself something different. You need to make up no excuses. You can accomplish anything if you don't have any excuses in your life. So for your homework for this module, I'd like you to name a situation in your life where an excuse held you back. Either I can't do it, I don't have the money, I have to talk to my spouse, something like that, where an excuse held you back. Write it down. Write it out. Then how can you overcome those excuses? What can you tell yourself to overcome the excuse? And write that out also. Remember this, as a man thinks, so is he, or a woman. So your thought process is the most important thing towards achieving your destiny. Well, let's get back here to where the rubber meets the road. I love to help people with their destiny, with their purpose. Right now what I'm doing is helping people get the money and the time freedom that they need to accomplish their purpose or their destiny in their life. Let me tell you right up front, it's not going to be easy. It's a learning process, and it could take you a little bit of time. But if you're interested, please call me at 575-524-0777, or you can call my husband. His number is 575-621-2212. He'll hook you up also. Or you can email me at support@betterrecruitingnow.com. If you got this from a member of my team who's also excited to help you out, get back to them with the information they provided you in their email.